Merab Dvalishvili made history on Saturday by defeating Nurmagomedov. And, Merab Dvalishvili has now set the UFC record for the most takedowns in the organization's history. He passing George St. Pierre's long-held record. George St. Pierre, in my opinion, is the greatest MMA fighter of all time. I know John Jones, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Demetrius Johnson are in that conversation as well. I think those are the four guys that you have a right to be in that conversation. But to me, it's personally GSP. I think he embodies what mixed martial arts is supposed to be about. I think he's an excellent human being, and I think he's kind of like the model standard of what a mixed martial artist should be. So to me, it's always been GSP, and for Merab to break that record is really impressive, especially against a guy in Umar Nurmagomedov, who was such elite takedown defense. He was the first person to ever take down Umar Nurmagomedov, and he just took over in those later rounds. Umar was up 2-0 after 2 rounds, and that third round, Merab's pressure and pace is just incredible, and it overwhelmed Umar. And we're used to seeing it the other way around from the Nurmagomedov family. And, Khabib overwhelms people with his pressure. Islam Makhachev has overwhelmed people with his constant pressure and his wrestling. Umar has done it. Usman has done it over in the PFL. But I think Merab showed that these guys are human and they are beatable, but it's going to take so much to beat these guys. Umar Nurmagomedov, I think his next fight is probably Sean O'Malley. I think that would be a really interesting fight. That fight sells, but I think Umar Nurmagomedov would beat Sean O'Malley quite handily because I think he's just so far ahead in grappling. Sean is a better striker, but I think Umar's just so far ahead in grappling. I don't think there's going to be any other bantamweight that can beat Umar Nurmagomedov. But that's how good Merab is. Merab's pressure and pace is unbelievable. That cardio is off the chart. He's a fantastic fighter. And, Merab put on an excellent performance. And it seemed like he turned the crowd in his favor. Umar Nurmagomedov is a much more popular fighter than Merab Dvalishvili heading into this fight because of the last name, Nurmagomedov. And rightfully so. That family's accomplished so much. If you're a fan of MMA, it's hard not to be a fan of those guys and what they have accomplished and how hard they work. That being said, Merab really turned the tides here. He looked like a guy who was avoiding that fight. That was a narrative created by fans and media alike that Merab was avoiding Umar Nurmagomedov, even though he just fought in September. And he just had a really quick turnaround, had a short camp, took this fight on short notice, and he beat Umar Nurmagomedov. And the Nurmagomedov family has just seemed unbeatable for so long. But Merab Dvalishvili, congrats to him. I think that is one heck of a performance. And I think it's fair to put him in the conversation now as the greatest bantamweight of all time. He says it's Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling has the most title defenses in the promotion's history, for the bantamweight division. And, makes sense. Aljo was a great fighter. He lost to Sean O'Malley. And Morab ended up avenging that loss and beating Sean O'Malley in the UFC's biggest event in the company's history, the UFC in the Sphere for UFC 306, which was a fantastic performance by Morab, but this one was even better. He really pushed the pace in this fight. He was down early, lost those first 2 rounds, and he wore down and broke down Umar Nurmagomedov, which seems impossible to do to someone in the Nurmagomedov family. But Morab did it. He only has 1 title defense, so it is kind of hard to say that he is the greatest bantamweight of all time. But kind of like Pantoja, it's what he did on the way up that has made him in that conversation. He defeated 4 former champions: Jose Aldo, Henry Cejudo, Peter Yan, Sean O'Malley, and has a title defense against Umar Nurmagomedov, who's definitely the second best bantamweight in the world. We can decide that later this year and have him fight Sean O'Malley. But this was just a terrific performance by Merab, and I think it is fair to say that he is the greatest bantamweight of all time. Definitely another title defense or two would be very beneficial. What's next for Merab Dvalishvili is a good question. I think it is likely Peter Yan. Peter Yan's coming off an impressive win in his last fight. Peter Yan is definitely a top 5 bantamweight in the world. We have seen that fight. Merab won. He just relentless pressure and attempting takedowns. He tried to take Peter Yan down 50 times. He wasn't that successful, obviously. Peter Yan is a great grappler, has great takedown defense, but just that constant pressure wore down Peter Yan. He defeated Peter Yan. But Peter Yan is still in his prime. Still one of the best bantamweights in the world, still one of the best fighters in the world, and I think that's an interesting fight from Merab Dvalishvili. I think that's kind of a logical next title defense to happen in the next few months. Merab deserves a break. He has a lot of injuries. We saw the shin; it was open up. Didn't look good. He says he's had back issues. Claimed to have a broken back. Merab is definitely a warrior, though. He said that he would like to defend the belt 4 times this year and break the record for the most title defenses in a year, which would be amazing if he could accomplish something like that. But if he wants to fight in short order, I think Peter Yan is probably one of the more logical candidates for Merab Dvalishvili to fight next, while Sean O'Malley recovers from his injury, and him and Umar Nurmagomedov get back to the drawing board, probably fight each other and see which one of those guys can get the next title shot. I think we'll probably see them fight Merab again, one of them, this year. But I think they have to fight each other first before we get to that to get to that situation. But I think Merab Dvalishvili versus Peter Yan, something that we are going to see in the first half of 2025. Thank you for watching.